Admiral Deho stood in the command center of Luna Station, staring at the large screen in front of him. The numbers on the display told a story that would have terrified most people. But Deho was not most people. He had seen 8 alien fleets come to Earth. He had watched them all burn. The command center was quiet except for the soft hum of computers. Captain Sora walked up to him, holding a datapad in her hands. Her face was calm, but Deho could see the tension in her eyes. 8 fleets, Admiral, Sora said. Her voice was steady and clear. The first 7 we destroyed completely. Every single ship. The 8th fleet was different. We let 3 ships escape. Deho nodded slowly. He remembered that decision. It had been a hard choice, but the right one. And yet they'd come again, he said. The aliens were called the Valkyrie. They were big, strong creatures with 4 arms and thick armor covering their bodies. They came from a planet where everything was heavy, where only the strongest could survive. This made them powerful fighters, but it also made them think they were better than everyone else. The Valkyrie had conquered 17 different star systems. Every time they found a new planet with people on it, they did the same thing. They sent a message demanding surrender. If the people said no, they attacked. If the people said yes, they still attacked. The Valkyrie did not want slaves. They wanted everything for themselves. Sora looked at her datapad again. The first fleet arrived 12 years ago, 50 ships. We barely managed to stop them. We lost half our defense force that day. Deho remembered that first battle. Earth had been so unprepared. The humans had just started building real spaceships. Their weapons were weak. Their shields were basic. When the Valkyrie ships appeared in space near Earth, most people thought it was the end. But humanity had one thing the Valkyrie did not expect. They learned fast, very fast. The second fleet came 2 years later, Sora continued. 100 ships this time. They thought we would be easy to beat because we were still just one planet. They were wrong, Deho said. Yes, sir. We had studied their technology from the wreckage of the first fleet. We built better weapons, better shields. The second fleet lasted 3 days instead of 3 weeks. Commander Taman approached them. He was young, but he had been working in communications for 5 years. He had listened to 8 different groups of aliens threaten his home. His face was serious as he spoke. Admiral, we are receiving another message from the Valkyrie fleet. It is the same as always. They want us to surrender. Deho almost smiled. The Valkyrie never changed their approach. They always sent the same message. They always demanded surrender. They always threatened to destroy everything if humans said no. They never learned that humans had heard all of this before. How many ships this time, Taman? Our scouts count over 1,000 ships, sir. This is the biggest fleet they have ever sent. Sora looked up from her datapad. The third fleet had 150 ships. The fourth had 200. The fifth had 300. They keep sending bigger fleets because they think the problem is that they are not sending enough ships. What is the real problem? Deho asked, though he already knew the answer. The real problem is that every fleet they send makes us stronger, Sora said. Every ship they lose becomes our ship. Every weapon they bring becomes our weapon. Every piece of technology they have becomes our technology. This was the truth that the Valkyrie could not understand. Humans were good at learning. They were good at copying. They were good at taking something and making it better. When the first Valkyrie fleet attacked Earth, humans had basic laser weapons and simple metal ships. Now, 12 years later, humans had Valkyrie plasma cannons, Valkyrie shield generators, and Valkyrie faster-than-light engines. But the human versions were better than the original Valkyrie versions. Tay-Min was still waiting for orders. What should I tell them, Admiral? Patch me through to Earth Command first. We need to make our own announcement. The main screen changed. To show President Minho sitting in his office on Earth, next to him stood Defense Secretary Haijin and Fleet Admiral Jinwoo. All 3 of them looked serious. They had been through this 8 times before, Mr. President, Deho said. The 9th fleet has arrived. Over 1,000 ships. They are demanding surrender as usual. President Minho was quiet for a moment. Admiral Jinwoo, what is the status of our defense forces? All fleets are ready, Mr. President. We have been preparing for this for 2 years. Our ships are in position throughout the solar system. The Valkyrie will not see them until it is too late. Defense Secretary Haijin spoke next. Our intelligence says this is the largest fleet the Valkyrie have ever built. They are putting everything they have into this attack. If we stop them here, they might not be able to send another fleet for many years. Or ever, said Admiral Jin-Woo. President Minho looked directly at Admiral Deho. Give them one final warning. Make it clear that this is their last chance to leave peacefully. And, if they refuse? Then we show them why 8 fleets before them never made it home. The connection ended. Deho turned to Taemin. Open a channel to the Valkyrie fleet. I want to speak to their commander directly. Taemin worked at his console for a few minutes. Channel open, sir. Deho straightened his uniform and looked directly into the camera. He knew that in a few minutes his words would travel across space to reach the alien ships. He wanted to choose those words carefully. This is Admiral Deho of the Earth Defense Fleet. I'm speaking to the commander of the Valkyrie 9th Fleet. You are entering the Sol system without permission. This is your final warning. Turn your ships around and leave now. If you continue toward Earth, you will share the fate of the 8 fleets that came before you. Humanity wants peace, but we will defend our home with everything we have. He paused for a moment, then continued. You have 1 hour to respond. After that, we will consider your presence an act of war. Taemin closed the channel. The command center was quiet again. Ra looked at the tactical display. Do you think they will listen this time? Deho shook his head. No, they never listen. They think we are weak because we only have 1 star system. They think we are primitive because we are younger than them. They do not understand that being young means we learn faster, then they will attack. Yes, and when they do, they will discover what 12 years of preparation can accomplish. Admiral Deho looked out the window of Luna Station. He could see Earth in the distance, blue and green and beautiful. He could also see the construction yards where humans had been building new ships for years. Ships that used the best technology. From 8 different Valkyrie fleets. Ships that were better than anything the Valkyrie had ever built. The 9th Fleet was coming. But Admiral Deho was not worried. He was ready. Fleet Commander Zethmer stood on the bridge of his massive ship, the Domination's Edge. He was huge, even for a Valkyrie. His forearms were thick with muscle, and his body was covered in the natural armor that all his people grew. Battle scars marked his face and arms, showing that he had fought many wars before this one. The human message had just finished playing. Zethmer made the grinding sound that his people used for laughter. The idea that these weak creatures would threaten him was funny. He had conquered 12 different worlds. He had destroyed armies that were much stronger than anything these humans could build. Another warning, he said to his officers. The humans still think they can scare us away with words. His second-in-command, Nexville, looked at the sensor. Readings. Commander, our scouts show that the human fleet is smaller than we expected. Perhaps the previous battles hurt them more than we thought. Zethmer walked to the main viewing screen. In the distance, he could see the small yellow star that the humans called the Sun. Around it were several planets. One of them was Earth, the homeworld of these annoying creatures who refused to surrender. How many human ships do our sensors detect? Zethmer asked. Only about 200 ships, Commander. Most of them are small. We have 1,012 ships in our fleet. We should be able to destroy them easily. Zethmer nodded. This made sense to him. 8 previous fleets had attacked the system. The humans must have lost many ships defending themselves. Now they were weak and desperate. That was why they kept sending warnings instead of just attacking. What about their technology? Asked another officer, Velenoth. Our reports say they have been copying our weapons. Copying is not the same as understanding, Zethmer replied. A child can copy the shape of a sword, but that does not make the child a warrior. These humans have stolen some of our tools, but they do not know how to use them properly. On Earth, deep underground in the Rocky Mountains, General Yujin was watching the alien fleet through powerful telescopes. The command center was busy with activity. Officers and technicians worked at hundreds of computers, tracking every Valkyrie ship and preparing for battle. The Valkyrie fleet is holding position at the edge of our solar system, reported communications specialist Dong Hyan. They received our warning, but they are not leaving. General Yujin was not surprised. In 12 years, the Valkyrie had never listened to warnings. They always believed they were stronger than anyone they fought. This belief had helped them conquer many worlds, but it would not help them here. Any response to our message? Yujin asked. No, General, they are ignoring us completely. Colonel Sumin, Yujin's assistant, walked over with a report. All defense positions are ready, General. The lunar bases, the asteroid stations, the hidden platforms, everything is in place. Yujin looked at the tactical display that showed their solar system. To the Valkyrie, it probably looked like it only had a few hundred human ships scattered around. They could not see the thousands of hidden weapons platforms. They could not see the massive shipyards behind the moons of Jupiter. They could not see the secret bases built inside asteroids. 12 years of preparation, Yujin said quietly. 8 fleets taught us exactly what we needed to know. She remembered the first Valkyrie attack. The humans had been so unprepared. They had basic spaceships and simple weapons. Half of their fleet was destroyed in the first day. But the humans who survived learned everything they could from the wreckage of Valkyrie ships. The second attack came 2 years later. This time the humans were ready with better weapons and stronger shields. They captured several Valkyrie ships intact and learned even more. By the third attack, humans were building ships that were better than Valkyrie ships. By the fifth attack, human weapons could punch through Valkyrie armor like it was paper. By the eighth attack, the humans were so much stronger that they could have destroyed the entire Valkyrie fleet in minutes. Instead, they let 3 ships escape. On purpose. Why did we let those ships go? Sumin asked, as if reading Yujin's thoughts. Because we wanted them to report back to their leaders. We wanted the Valkyrie to know that 8 fleets had been destroyed. We hoped they would be smart enough to stop attacking us. But they came back anyway, yes, with their biggest fleet ever. They think that bigger means better. They do not understand that we have been waiting for them. Back on the Valkyrie flagship, Zethmar was receiving reports from his scout ships. The information confused him. His sensors were detecting strange readings throughout the human solar system. Commander said. Science Officer Velenov, there are massive objects in this system that we did not see before. Objects that are much larger than planets. What kind of objects, I am not sure. They appear to be artificial structures, but they are so big that our computers cannot calculate their exact size. Some of them are hidden behind planets. Others are ... inside asteroids? Zethmar looked at the sensor readings. This makes no sense. Our intelligence report said the humans only had a few small bases on their moon and on some nearby planets. The intelligence reports were from the 8th Fleet, Nexville said. The ships that escaped 2 years ago. Perhaps they missed something. Or perhaps, said another officer nervously, the humans built these structures after the 8th Fleet left. Zethmar considered this. Could the humans have built massive space stations in only 2 years? It seemed impossible. The Valkyrie were much more advanced than humans, and it took them many years to build their largest ships. Begin the attack, Zethmar ordered. Whatever these structures are, they cannot be more powerful than our fleet. We have over 1,000 ships. We have the strongest weapons in the galaxy. These humans will surrender or die. The Valkyrie fleet began moving toward Earth. As they got closer, their senses detected more and more strange readings. There were energy signatures that matched Valkyrie technology, but the power levels were much higher than anything the Valkyrie had ever built. Commander, Velenov said, his voice worried now. These readings suggest that the humans have weapons that are more powerful than ours. Impossible, Zethmar replied. Humans are a primitive species. They have only had space travel for a few decades. We have had it for thousands of years. But as the fleet moved deeper into the solar system, even Zethmar began to feel concerned. The sensor readings were showing structures everywhere. Massive battleships were hiding behind asteroids. Weapon platforms the size of cities were orbiting the outer planets. And all of them were using technology that looked like Valkyrie designs, but improved in ways that Valkyrie engineers had never imagined. Sir, the communications officer called out, we are receiving another message from the humans. Put it on the main screen. This time the message came from a different human. This one was older with gray hair and cold eyes. He wore the uniform of a high-ranking military officer. I am Fleet Admiral Jinwoo of the Earth Defense Force. You have ignored our warning. You have chosen to attack our home. This is your final chance to retreat. In 1 hour, we will begin our defense. You will discover why 8 fleets before you never returned home. The message ended. The bridge of the Valkyrie flagship was quiet. Every officer was looking at their sensor readings, trying to understand what they were seeing. Finally, Zethmar spoke. Continue the attack. Whatever tricks these humans are using, we have superior numbers. We will crush them. But for the first time in his military career, Fleet Commander Zethmar was not completely confident in victory. Something was wrong here. Something was very wrong. The humans were not acting like a defeated enemy. They were acting like predators who had been waiting for prey to enter their trap. Captain One-Seek sat in the command chair of his ship, the Silent Thunder. His ship was small and fast, designed to hide from enemy sensors. For the past 3 hours, he had been watching the Valkyrie fleet move deeper into the solar system. The aliens had no idea that dozens of human ships were following them, invisible and silent. Captain, whispered his sensor officer, Lieutenant Biorem, the Valkyrie are passing through Sector 7 now. All the hidden platforms are in position. One-Seek. nodded. Sector 7 was where the real surprise would begin. The Valkyrie thought they were flying through empty space, but they were actually moving through the most defended area in human history. Weapons platforms the size of buildings were hidden inside what looked like ordinary asteroids. Battle stations were disguised as space rocks. Entire fleets of human ships were waiting behind artificial clouds of cosmic dust. "Any change in their formation?" Oneseek asked. "No, sir. They are still flying in the same pattern they always use. Straight lines, heavy ships in front, smaller ships protecting the sides." Oneseek almost felt sorry for them. The Valkyrie had been using the same battle tactics for hundreds of years. It had worked for them because most of the species they fought were weaker and less advanced. But humans had studied every single battle the Valkyrie had ever fought. They knew exactly what the aliens would do on the Valkyrie flagship. Fleet Commander Zethmar was becoming more worried with each passing minute. His science officer Velanoth was reporting impossible readings from their sensors. "Commander, the gravitational readings in this system do not make sense. There are massive objects everywhere, but we cannot see them with our regular sensors." "What? Do you mean we cannot see them?" "I mean they are there, but they are hidden somehow. Like they are covered with something that blocks our sensors." Zethmar looked at the tactical display. According to their sensors, they were flying through mostly empty space with a few small human ships scattered around. But the gravitational readings suggested that there were enormous structures all around them. Could the humans have learned stealth technology? Asked Nexville. "Impossible," Zethmar replied, but his voice was less confident than before. "Stealth technology is one of our most advanced sciences. It took us thousands of years to develop it. But sir, 8 of our fleets have attacked this system. If the humans captured ships with stealth generators... Zethmar did not want to think about that possibility. If the humans had learned to hide their ships and weapons, then this battle would be very different from what he expected. Suddenly, the space around the Valkyrie fleet began to change. What had looked like empty darkness started to shimmer and shift. Huge shapes began to appear, as if they were stepping out of invisible hiding places. "By the great darkness," whispered Velanoth. "Commander, look at the main screen." Zethmar looked and felt his confidence crumble. Massive space stations were appearing all around his fleet. Battle platforms bigger than Valkyrie cities were uncloaking near every planet. The moon called Europa split open like a flower, revealing the largest shipyard anyone had ever seen. Ships were pouring out of it like angry insects from a disturbed nest. "How many ships?" Zethmar asked quietly. I cannot count them all, Commander. There are thousands. Maybe tens of thousands, but the numbers were not the worst part. The worst part was the technology. Every ship that appeared was clearly built using Valkyrie designs, but they were bigger, faster, and more heavily armed than the original Valkyrie versions on Earth. In the command center, General Yujin watched as her carefully planned surprise was revealed. "All units, this is command. Execute Phase 1 of Operation Homecoming." Throughout the solar system, human commanders acknowledged the order. Captain Kite of the battleship Indomitable Will smiled as his ship decloaked along with 50 others. In his battle group, "Weapon systems online," reported his tactical officer, Lieutenant Namjun. "All guns loaded and ready." "They look surprised," Kite said, watching the Valkyrie ships on his screen. "I wonder if they recognize their own technology." The human ships that were appearing around the Valkyrie fleet were indeed built using Valkyrie technology, but they had been improved in every possible way. Human engineers had taken 8 fleets worth of alien equipment and spent 12 years making it better. Valkyrie plasma cannons had been rebuilt to fire faster and hit harder. Valkyrie shields had been redesigned to absorb more damage. Valkyrie engines had been modified to move ships at incredible speeds. And all of this improved technology was now pointed at the 9th Valkyrie fleet. "Commander," shouted the communications officer on the Valkyrie flagship, "we are receiving a transmission from the humans." "Put it on screen," Zethmar ordered. The face that appeared was that of an older human male wearing the uniform of a fleet admiral. His expression was calm but cold. "I am Fleet Admiral Jinwoo of the Earth Defense Force. You are now surrounded by the combined might of the human fleet. We have studied your tactics for 12 years. We have improved your technology beyond your ability to match it. We know every weakness in your ships and every flaw in your strategy." The admiral paused for a moment, then continued. "This is your final opportunity to surrender. Shut down your weapons and prepare to be taken prisoner. You will be treated fairly according to the laws of war." Zethmar found his voice. "We outnumber your original fleet 10-1. "No," Admiral Jinwoo replied calmly. "You outnumbered the fleet we allowed you to see. You are now facing the real human defense force. We outnumber you 3-1 and every one of our ships is superior to yours." The transmission ended. Zethmar looked around his bridge. Every officer was staring at him, waiting for orders. For the first time in his long military career, he did not know what to do. "Options?" he asked finally. Nexville studied the tactical display. "We could try to retreat, but they have ships behind us now. We could try to fight our way through to Earth, but—" He paused, looking at the numbers. "Commander, even if we destroyed half their fleet, we would still be outnumbered." "What about their technology?" Science Officer Velanoth looked up from his instruments. "Sir, their ships are using our own designs, but the power readings are 30 to 40% higher than our best equipment. Somehow they have made our technology better than we ever could." Zethmar was quiet for a long moment. He was beginning to understand what had really happened here. The Velkari had not been fighting a war against primitive humans. They had been feeding technology and battle experience to a species that learned faster than anyone had imagined possible. "How?" he asked quietly. "How did they improve our technology?" "So much? I think," said Velanoth slowly, "they have been studying the wreckage of 8 different fleets. Each fleet taught them something new. Each battle showed them how to make their ships better. They have been using us," Zethmar realized. "Every fleet we sent made them stronger." "Yes, Commander, and now they are stronger than us." Captain One-Seek, still hidden and watching, received new orders from Earth Command. "All stealth units, prepare for Phase 2. If they refuse to surrender, we begin the demonstration." One-Seek knew what the demonstration would be. The humans would show the Velkari exactly how much their technology had been improved. They would destroy a small part of the alien fleet quickly and efficiently, proving that resistance was hopeless. "Sir," reported Lieutenant Bioram, "the Velkari fleet is powering up their weapons." "Then they have chosen to fight," One-Seek said. "Sadly, signal all units. The demonstration begins now." The Velkari had made their choice. They would learn the hard way what 12 years of human determination could accomplish. The battle began exactly as Admiral Jinwu had predicted it would. The Velkari, faced with impossible odds, chose to fight rather than surrender. Fleet Commander Zethmar gave the order to attack, and 1,000 Velkari ships opened fire at the same time. Their weapons lit up space with brilliant flashes of plasma and laser fire. For a moment, it looked like the galaxy's most feared military force was showing its true power. But then the human response came, and everything changed. Commander Jae-Sung of the experimental destroyer Quantum Strike was the first to engage the enemy. His ship moved through space in ways that seemed to break the laws of physics. It appeared in one place, fired its weapons, then instantly appeared somewhere else entirely. "Quantum displacement drive is working perfectly," reported his science officer, Lieutenant Yuri. "We can appear anywhere within 50,000 kilometers in less than a second." Jae-Sung watched as his ship's weapons tore through a Velkari cruiser's shields like they were made of paper. Target their command ship? Next, let's show them what 12 years of research can do. The technology Jae-Sung was using had been impossible just 5 years ago. But human scientists had studied the wreckage of Velkari ships and discovered something the aliens themselves had never realized. Their faster-than-light engines could be modified to allow short-range teleportation. The Velkari had the parts to build this technology for thousands of years, but they had never been creative enough to put them together in the right way. Wing Commander Yunji led her fighter squadron through the chaos of battle. Her small ship was fast and deadly, armed with weapons that could penetrate Velkari armor with ease. Behind her flew 20 other pilots, including her wingman Hansal. "Stay close," she told her squadron over the radio. "Remember, their shields cannot stop our new plasma torpedoes. Aim for their engines first, then their weapons." Hansal watched in amazement as his torpedo passed straight through a Velkari shield and exploded inside the enemy ship. "How is this possible?" "Their shields always stopped our weapons before." "Because before we were using their weapons," Yunji replied. "Now we are using weapons we built ourselves. Weapons designed specifically to beat their defenses." The truth was simple but devastating. For 8 previous battles, humans had been fighting with captured Velkari technology. They had been using alien weapons against alien shields, alien armor against alien sensors. Of course the battles had been difficult, but now humans were using weapons they had designed themselves. Weapons built specifically to destroy Velkari ships. The aliens had taught humans exactly what their weaknesses were, and humans had spent 12 years learning how to exploit every single one on the Velkari flagship. Chaos was spreading. Officer after officer brought bad news to Fleet Commander Zethmar. "Sir, we have lost 40 ships in the first 10 minutes. Commander, their weapons are penetrating our shields like they do not exist. Sir, our communications are being jammed by our own technology. Zethmar stared at the tactical display in growing horror. His massive fleet was being torn apart by an enemy that seemed to know exactly what he would do before he did it. Every time he ordered his ships to move into a new formation, human ships were already waiting for them. Every time he tried a new tactic, the humans had a perfect counter. Ready? How are they predicting our movements? He asked his tactical officer, Nexval. Sir, I think they have studied recordings of all our previous battles. They know our standard formations. They know our emergency procedures. They know everything we are going to do. This was exactly right. Human intelligence officers had spent years studying how Valkyrie fleets moved and fought. They had analyzed the wreckage of 8 fleets to understand Valkyrie technology. They had interrogated the few prisoners taken from the 8th Fleet to learn Valkyrie tactics. Now they knew the alien military better than the aliens knew themselves. Captain Hein Wu of the heavy cruiser Righteous Vengeance coordinated the attack on the Valkyrie flagship. His ship and 5 others approached the massive enemy vessel from different directions, their weapons charging for a synchronized strike. Target their command center, he told his weapons officer Sun He. One coordinated strike should be enough to disable their entire fleet. Sun He studied her targeting computer. The Valkyrie flagship was enormous, but human sensors could see exactly where its most important systems were located. Locked on target, Captain. All ships report ready to fire. Fire. 6 human ships fired at the same moment. Their weapons were not the simple lasers and missiles that humans had used 12 years ago. These were quantum disruption cannons, weapons that could tear apart the very atoms that held matter together. They had been built using principles learned from studying Valkyrie science, but improved far beyond what the aliens had ever achieved. The weapons struck the Valkyrie flagship's command center with devastating effect. The massive ship's armor, which had protected it through dozens of battles, simply disintegrated. Secondary explosions began deep inside the ship as critical systems failed. Fleet Commander Zethmar felt his ship shaking apart around him. Emergency. Lights flashed red throughout the bridge. Officers called out damage reports, but he could barely hear them over the sound of hull breaches and failing life support. Damage report, he shouted. Velenov looked up from his station, his face pale. Command center is destroyed. Navigation is offline, weapons are offline, life support is failing. Sir, we have maybe 10 minutes before the ship breaks apart completely. Zethmar looked at the tactical display one last time. In less than 4 hours, his mighty fleet of over 1,000 ships had been reduced to scattered wreckage. The humans had not just defeated them, they had destroyed them so completely that it looked easy. How many ships do we have left? He asked quietly. 17 ships are still capable of fighting. 43 have surrendered. The rest are double closed. Velenov paused. The rest are gone, sir? 17 ships out of more than 1,000? The most powerful fleet the Valkyrie had ever assembled had been almost completely destroyed by an enemy they had thought was weak and primitive. Sir, the communications officer called out weakly, the humans are transmitting again. Admiral Jinwoo appeared on the screen once more. His expression was still calm, but there was something else there now. Something that looked like pity. Fleet Commander Zethmar, your fleet has been defeated. Your flagship is dying. You have lost over 90% of your ships. This destruction was not necessary. We offered you the chance to surrender. Zethmar found the strength to speak. How? How did you become so powerful? 12 years ago, you were nothing. You had no real military. You had no advanced technology. 12 years ago, that was true, Admiral Jinwoo replied. But then your people attacked us. 8 times. Each attack taught us something new. Each fleet you sent gave us better technology. Each battle made us stronger. The Admiral paused, then continued. You created us, Commander Zethmar. Every ship you sent, every weapon you fired, every tactic you used, all of it taught us how to become the force that has now destroyed you. Zethmar felt the terrible truth of those words. The Valkyrie had not been fighting a war. They had been teaching their enemy how to defeat them. With every attack, they had made humanity more dangerous. Now the enemy had grown strong enough to destroy the greatest military force in the galaxy. This is the end of Valkyrie expansion, Admiral Jinwoo said. Your people will send no more fleets. You will threaten no more worlds. The age of Valkyrie. Conquest is over. The transmission ended just as Zethmar's flagship finally broke apart. The fleet commander, who had conquered 12 worlds, died knowing that his own arrogance had created the force that ended his people's dreams of galactic domination. The battle was over. The Ninth Fleet would never return home. 3 months after the destruction of the Ninth Valkyrie fleet, Ambassador Guri stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber. The massive room was filled with representatives from hundreds of different worlds. She had never seen so many different alien species in one place before. The chamber was completely silent. Every being in the room was looking at her with expressions that ranged from curiosity to fear to amazement. For thousands of years, the Galactic Council had met without any human representative. Earth had been considered too primitive, too isolated, too unimportant to deserve a voice in galactic affairs. That had changed when news of the Ninth Fleet's destruction reached the other star systems. Honored delegates, Guri began, her voice carrying clearly through the chamber's acoustic systems. I am Ambassador Guri of the United Earth Government. I come before you today to speak for humanity and to address the concerns that many of you have raised about recent events in the Sol system. Council leader Zendel, a tall crystalline being who had led the council for over a century, gestured for her to continue. The council recognizes the representative from Earth. We are interested to hear what humanity has to say about the destruction of 9 Valkyrie fleets. Behind Guri, massive holographic displays showed the wreckage that now orbited Earth's sun. 9 different graveyards of alien ships, each one representing a fleet that had come to conquer and had instead been destroyed. The images were impressive and terrifying in equal measure. For 12 years, Guri said, the Valkyrie hegemony sent fleet after fleet to attack our world. They demanded our surrender. They threatened to destroy our civilization. They ignored every attempt we made at peaceful communication. She paused, looking around the chamber. We did not start this conflict. We did not seek war with the Valkyrie. But when they forced war upon us, we defended ourselves with every resource we possessed. Delegate Morthak, representing the warrior species known as the Zorlani, stood up from his seat. Ambassador, our intelligence reports suggest that humanity has developed military technology that surpasses anything in the galaxy. This concerns many of us. What are your intentions now that you possess such power? This was the question Guri had been expecting. It was the question that every species in the galaxy was asking. Humanity had gone from being an unknown, primitive species to being the most powerful military force anyone had ever seen. What would they do with that power? Defense Minister Chang Ho, who had traveled with the diplomatic mission, stepped forward to answer. The Defense Minister of Earth will respond to this question. Chang Ho was a calm, older man who had spent his career building the forces that had defeated the Valkyrie. He looked around the chamber with steady, confident eyes. Humanity seeks peace, he said simply. We have always sought peace. But we have learned that peace must be defended. We have learned that there are species in this galaxy who see kindness as weakness and diplomacy as cowardice. He gestured to the holographic displays. The Valkyrie taught us these lessons. Every fleet they sent taught us something new about the realities of galactic politics. They taught us that some beings only understand strength. Delegate Salandra of the Peaceful Ethereal Collective spoke next. Minister Chang Ho, many of our worlds are concerned that humanity will now become the new Valkyrie, that you will use your power to conquer and enslave other species. Chang Ho shook his head firmly. Humanity has no interest in conquest. We have no desire to rule over other species or claim their worlds. But we will not tolerate aggression against innocent peoples. What does that mean specifically? Asked Council Leader Zendel. It means that any species that attacks peaceful worlds will face the same fate as the Valkyrie. Any being that seeks to enslave or destroy other civilizations will discover that Earth remembers every lesson we have learned. The chamber erupted in quiet conversations as delegates discussed this statement among themselves. Some seemed relieved that humanity was not planning conquest. Others were worried about having such a powerful species acting as the galaxy's protector. Guri raised her hand for silence. I understand your concerns. For thousands of years, the Valkyrie were the dominant military power in this galaxy. Now that power belongs to humanity. You're wondering if we will be better rulers than they were. She looked directly at Council Leader Zendel. We do not wish to be rulers at all. We wish to be protectors. Over the following weeks, Earth began to prove this statement with actions. Admiral Seok-jin led humanitarian missions to worlds that had been conquered by the Valkyrie. His fleet carried food, medical supplies, and engineers to help rebuild destroyed cities. Captain Mi-young of the hospital ship Healing Light worked day and night treating refugees from Valkyrie slave worlds. Her medical team used advanced human technology to heal injuries and diseases that had been considered incurable. These people have suffered for decades under Valkyrie rule. Mei Yon told her staff as they worked in the refugee camps on the planet Desha. We have the power to help them. We have the technology to heal them. That is what we will do. Her chief medical officer, Dr. Kyung-ho, nodded as he worked on a patient with severe radiation poisoning. The Valkyrie use these people as forced laborers in their weapons factories. Many of them will need months of treatment. Then they will get months of treatment, Mi-young said firmly. For as long as it takes. News of these humanitarian missions spread throughout the galaxy. Species that had feared humanity began to see them differently. The humans were not conquerors. They were healers, builders, protectors, but not everyone was grateful for humanity's new role. On the distant world of Kethmore, the surviving Valkyrie leaders met in secret. General Vexstar, one of the few high-ranking officers to survive the destruction of the 9 fleets, addressed a gathering of angry Valkyrie refugees. The humans have destroyed our civilization, he said bitterly. They have taken everything from us, our fleets, our colonies, our future, and now they pretend to be peaceful while they spread their influence throughout the galaxy. What can we do? Asked another refugee. Their technology is superior to ours. Their fleets are larger. They have turned our own weapons against us. Vexstar's eyes were filled with hate. We survive. We hide. We wait. And someday, when they become careless, we will have our revenge. But even as he spoke these words, Vexstar knew they were empty threats. The Valkyrie were broken as a people. Their military was destroyed. Their colonies had been liberated by human forces. They were no longer the predators of the galaxy. They were prey, scattered and hiding. Meanwhile, on Earth, Admiral Daeho stood once again on the observation deck of Luna Station. But now he was not looking at construction yards building defensive weapons. He was watching the launch of humanity's first deep space exploration fleet. Captain So-ra joined him at the viewing port. The exploration ships launch next week, Admiral. Peaceful contact missions to 50 different star systems. Good, Daeho replied. It is time for humanity to see what else is out there. Time to meet our neighbors as friends instead of defenders. What about the defense fleets? Daeho smiled. Slightly, the defense fleets remain ready. The galaxy is vast, and there may be other species who need to learn the lessons the Valkyrie taught us. In the depths of space, automated beacons now marked the boundaries of human-protected space. They broadcast the same message in hundreds of different languages. Here lies the graveyard of those who mistook humanity's desire for peace as a sign of weakness. We offer friendship to all peaceful species. We offer protection to all innocent peoples. But to those who would harm others, we offer only this warning: choose your actions wisely. The message was simple, but every species in the galaxy understood its meaning. The age of Valkyrie domination was over. The age of human protection had begun, and somewhere in the wreckage that orbited Earth's sun, the remains of 9 alien fleets served as a permanent reminder that humanity had learned the most important lesson of all: peace was worth fighting for, and some enemies could only be stopped by overwhelming force. The 9th Fleet had never returned home. Now, no fleet would ever threaten innocent worlds again.